It wasn't. Civic Vibes. Oh, okay.
As a true Dominican, I really think we could make it. But as a people, we have to learn to commit. Journey ahead will never be smooth and sweet. But as an ambitious nation, we have to be upbeat. I know we have done it before, so we can do it again. All the pain we've endured, but pride we have to maintain in order to create a better world. Every living soul has to play their role. We have an opportunity to change things around, an opportunity to change things, an opportunity to make Dominica strong. We have an opportunity to change things around, an opportunity to change things, an opportunity to make Dominica strong. We got to stamp out the devil, stamp them out, stamp out all evil, stamp them out. Jealousy, not by me, certainly. We got to stamp out greediness, stamp them out, stamp out wickedness, stamp them out. Jealousy, not by me, certainly. Tomorrow is the first day. The rest of our lives, let's make tomorrow the first day of the rest of our life. We have an opportunity to change things around, an opportunity to change things, an opportunity to make our country strong.
Yes, folks, indeed, an opportunity for changing Dominica. Welcome to Civic Vibes. It's just about 5 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock in Dominica and the rest of the region. Welcome to the Civic Vibes program right here, being on the social media platform, as it were. Being streamed live on Facebook and also on YouTube. Those of you already here with us, thank you very much indeed for your eyes and ears each and every time. Tonight being the 16th night of February 2025, and that is where we want to welcome you in a very, very special way from the Civic Vibes team indeed. Joyce Stout, my friend, good evening to you in a very special way. We're using your song, so kudos to you, entitled Opportunity for Change.
Opportunity to change things around, an opportunity to change things, an opportunity.
Mr. Alvin Thomas, wherever you are this time, listening, tuning to the program, thank you very much.
To change things around.
Alvin will not be here with us this evening. He's on some special mission.
We got to support the
Mr. Arundel Thomas, good evening to you, sir. Always locked into the vibes.
Not by we, certainly. We got to fight.
And all of you locked in at this time.
Conspiracy.
This evening, folks, we are gonna have a special discussion. And yes, we're gonna make the discussion a very, very interesting one.
The rest of our life.
Where in our midst this evening, we have two, I call them cultural icons in Dominica, in the name of Mr. Gregory Rabes and also Miss Aileen Burton, who will be speaking some things to us about Carnival celebrations in Dominica. A very, very candid, a very, very vulnerable conversation coming up in just a bit. So all I ask is that you keep it locked to the sport. Yes, to the sport that you got. Without saying much more, let me just move across now and say a special hi and hello to Mr. Gregory Rabes. Good evening to you, my brother.
Boy, I'm a hundred and feel loud. Yeah, Gregory Rabes in the Carnival mood there.
Uni kon lala.
Saudi,
Uni on kon la man.
oh, there, boy. By Lord, Lord. With only liberation colors in that. Yeah. That was commissioned by my brother who resides in London, and he had these things for sale, and got a few of those, and it's really lovely. Oh, I blessed it in the Notting Hill Carnival, and I brought it to Dominica, and then we good to go. Still going strong with that.
Still going strong indeed. So, Brother Roberts, just before we get into the meat of things, how have you been, sir? How have you been keeping? How have you been holding?
I've been doing okay, except the eyesight, according to Mighty Sparrow. But since I start to wear this, I'm using this new Vaseline in my head. It's not to get a problem with the eyes. But Sparrow didn't have no hair on his head. Completely bald. That's one of Sparrow's shows. Them Trinis, they are full of jokes and what they call peacock and all of that story. But I'm doing good. Except for the eyesight at the moment. I'm hanging in there and I'm in good spirits. Regrettably not drinking the spirits. The spirits go hand in hand with carnival by talking about the alcoholic spirits. That one kind of spirits too, eh? And we'll talk about that as we go along in the program. But
Yes,
yeah, just having fun at the start of the program.
All right, Brother Roberts, thank you very, very much indeed. There's a particular track that I know you by entitled Washla. What's that been doing?
Well, Washla is, again, you might say it's an iconic song in that sense, if there is an iconic song. Because I released Washla about maybe 30 odd years ago. And it's still very much in the public domain and in the public sort of memory, because you have particular songs that have ladiwage, as we say in film. Sometimes this song coming out for Carnival next 2 months after Carnival, but you can't remember some of them songs. But Washla, it just keeps on going, man. Just keeps on going. And obviously, when artists um, create a song or calypso, and then the name or the popularity of the song, it end up staying for them. So sometimes you find they give themselves these names and so on. So in that case, um, the Washla song, which was the title track of my first album, it basically stayed for me. That's the story of that Washla business. There's much more to it than that. It goes, but in terms of the recording and how it became associated with me, it had to do with that recording that was done in 30 years ago, 81, 82, 83, somewhere around there. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, my brother, thank you very much indeed, as I said, for making time for us this evening on the Civic Vibes program. We're looking forward to hearing from you some things re our carnival celebrations in Dominica then and now. Yes?
So absolutely.
Absolutely. All right. Let's turn to we just heard from the king of the program tonight. We're going to now turn to the queen of the program tonight. Miss Ellen Burton, how are you? Good evening and greetings and welcome.
Good evening, and thank you for having me. I am fine, thank you.
Thank you. Well, I'm seeing you looking fine. You're doing fine with that sharp pie on your head for sure.
Yeah, man, I'm ready for the bandwidth.
Indeed, you really look so. I can tell you that.
Yes.
So, how has Miss Burton been doing?
She has been doing good. Well, you know that I have written 2 books for children, so we just on the Warp Duet and the Jeep, so just waiting for, ourselves a sort of compartmental in Dominica. So you have during the independence season we celebrate, and then it slacks off for a while, and then it picks up again. But I think it's a book that every child should have. Gives all the information on the Warp Duet, because that's my passion. The Warp Duet and the Jeep, and all the details are in those books, written in story form for the children. So it can be obtained at the paint shop opposite tobacco factory. So just a reminder to Dominicans, it's good as a gift for Christmas, New Year's, birthdays, confirmation, first communion, any type of gift. It's good for that.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much as well, Ms. Britton, for, once again, taking time off your Sunday and being here with us as a family right here, the Civic Vibes family, indeed.
Happy to be here.
Happy to be here as well. All right, folks, that's it. You just heard from the two guest speakers tonight in terms of the content that will be coming your way. We'll be talking about, we're in the smack of the celebrations in terms of Carnival in Dominica. And so we decided to bring on two cultural icons in their own right in Dominica, Miss Ellen Burton and also Mr. Greg Rabes, no stranger to us in Dominica. And so they'll be talking to us, giving us some information, some inspiration, whatever it is, in terms of why we celebrate what we celebrate in Dominica as it relates to Carnival. And for sure, that conversation can be extended to the region as well. All right, just before we get into that kind of conversation, let me just say congratulations, a big congratulations to the 9 who made it last night in terms of the semi-final rounds at our Calypso competition in Dominica. And the 9, they are as follows: the Checo, JD, Tasha P, Joy, Observer, Bob, Shanice, Lady S, and the Caressa himself. Again, Checo, JD, Tasha P, Joy, Observer, Bob, Shanice, Lady S, and Caressa. These are the 9 that will go up against the reigning King, Calypso King in Dominica, that is Mr. Denison Dice Joseph, at the finals indeed. So yes, congratulations to all of you guys who made it last night. It was a tight show based on what I heard. I was not there, but based on what I heard, the show was, tight. And so, anyone could have made it on that list of 9 as it pertains to their contribution to the art form last night indeed. Yes. Any comments from our guests so far in terms of the 9 who made it?
There are quite a few women, which is nice.
About what? Yes, about 4 of them. 4, yes, 4. 1, 2,
beautiful. Congratulations
3, 4.
To them.
Yes, indeed. And we never know. A lady might be the monarch this year. You never know.
Yes, why not?
Yeah, same comment too in terms of the participation of the women in the Calypso. I mean, they really come on strong. They have been coming on strong. I mean, the presence there, and yeah, great. Congrats to the finalists, and then, as they say, let the games begin or let the games continue.
let the games continue in that regard. Yes, yes, indeed. Folks, on a sadder note, though, let me just at this time pay some condolences message to some of the folks who have passed. We heard about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, Mr. John, Clem John,
Evans John, yes.
Evans John, sorry, Evans John. My apology, Evans John. Was a very good friend of mine. We had like 1, 2, 3 programs together. And so when I heard of his passing, that is Mr. Evans John, I was really, really taken aback. But I haven't seen him for maybe 2, 3 months. I heard he was overseas, and so I didn't know he was undergoing some treatment. But that is life. He passed, and so to his friends and loved ones at this time, we condone with them and ask that they be strong in this time of their bereavement.
Yes, indeed. May his soul rest in peace.
Indeed.
And also he was a member of Chupul.
That's right, and I'm a member of Chupul as well.
Yes. And he was also one of our regular, you might say, hosts for our Serenal, when we used to make our Serenal rounds in the Russo, Kinfield, Maho area. His house was one of the first stops.
Okay.
Yes, we for our Serenal for quite a number of years now. Yes. May his soul indeed rest in peace. We will miss him. Sure. We'll miss the man.
Mr. John, I can tell you, was a very he was an entertainer. He welcomed people at his home. He was always a good word coming from him. He was also this sort of animated character. He always, have this kind of motivating spirit to go by. And so for sure, a lot of us will miss him.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Also
always ready and ready to do things properly.
Also, too, we are hearing of some other sad news, this time in the Castle Comfort area, whereby a young man in the name of Mr. Gifford Irish, and that is the brother of this ex-police officer, Mr. Enzo Irish, and Mr. Ilma Irish, the manager of the credit union. We're hearing some sad news, or we heard some sad news rather this morning of a possible, and I want to use my words very carefully here, in terms of a possible suicide where Mr. Gifford Irish is concerned. And so, whatever the case, it is confirmed that he's gone. And we too, we want to condole with his family at this time. It is never an easy time to lose someone, especially in that way, shape, or form that we are hearing so far. The police, they're still investigating the matter. But based on what I picked up this morning from very reliable sources, he was found in a room at his residence in the Castle Comfort area. His body was found lifeless.
Lifeless.
Yeah. And so it's very tough at this time. But again, we just want to ask that the good Lord come and provide that source of comfort to all those who are, mourning at this time.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, it reminds me of a calypso I wrote, it's me and me alone carrying my cross.
That's right. That's
You,
right, Gregory.
you remember that one?
Yes.
Calypso there, right? Right,
Yes.
right.
Yes.
I wrote
Yes.
that one there. I think Hurricane
And it's a
Sam.
good thing that you brought that up because people sort of look down at those who commit suicide, but you do not know what they are going through. Nobody can feel. Nobody can feel. So the family must not feel guilty and also must have sympathy for him because he alone knew what he was going through. Nobody else.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we are not to be judges at all as far as this is concerned.
Yes. We should
True.
have a whole program on that, on the question of, well, we leave that to the professional psychiatrists and some of the other people along that thing. But generally, yeah, at some point people snap, you lose, yeah, it's just, they feel there's no return.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. And I'm,
Guys,
and I'm still reminded of my partner Evans, boy. And you say, well, I don't want to be too absolute because I'm a humor man too. But at the end of the day, the people might just say, "Why chupo?"
Yeah.
In that sense, and just
yeah.
you reach the end of the line, and you just yeah, it's like,
It's
yeah,
sad. It's
sad,
sad,
it's
but
just sad.
we cannot be judgmental.
True.
Yeah.
True. One of the things for sure, people that really stood out to me today, it stood out to me back then when I heard of similar situations, but today it rocked me in a different kind of way. In that only Friday gone, 2 days ago, I saw Mr. Irish. We had a brief conversation. He was in his pickup, and so we just talked to each other very briefly. And yes, Miss Burton, you never know what people are going through. And that now raises the question or the situation that faces us, that stares us in the face in Dominica. When situation like that arises, who or where can we turn to as a people? Are there any professionals online that can give us some help? Are there any people, anybody out there? Is there an organization ready and willing to help in that department? Because the situation in Dominica, lots of people are going through lots of stuff, and you never know. And so it just beckons the question now: what needs to be done in a situation like that? When, not if, when those situation arises.
I'm smiling there because you mentioned the word somebody in the profession or something like that.
Mhm.
Right. I'm smiling because we have a problem in Dominica too. And the word is professionalism.
Mhm.
And in that respect, many people are scared or very unwilling to open up themselves to people, even the so-called professionals, because they just scared to death that their innermost secrets will be out there on Facebook or in whatever. So people just harbor their pain, man.
Yeah, yeah,
You see? That is a problem. That's another dimension of the problem. So that is why people have to respect a lot people's no you have to try to get help. You have to ask for help. But sometimes for the help, oh my God.
the whole confidentiality aspect comes in
Yeah,
and privacy.
God.
Yeah.
According to the
But
Jamaican.
maybe
I
there
know.
could be, maybe
Yeah.
there could be a hotline where you can talk to somebody without them knowing who you are.
Yes.
That is another
Yes,
area
yes.
we could look at, because I remember when I worked with the Dominica National Council of Women, we had a hotline, a crisis line for women, abuse of women. So it's probably something that we can look at, that and we may be able even to connect with other countries. Person, there are prayer lines. You can pick up you can phone a prayer line and people start praying for you. So something like that could be possible. I don't know how possible it is, but it could be possible. But as you're saying, Gregory, people are afraid to pour out their hearts. They are afraid to pour out their hearts.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Confidentiality thing. I mean, it's a mess. I mean, I don't want to grip it and regurgitate it, but I'm telling you that I have had personal experiences like that too, where people they just act so unprofessionally and they just it's
Yeah,
just bad.
yeah. So folks, that is a conversation I'm suggesting that we have to have, not just among ourselves here, but
Yeah,
as a
yeah,
wider public, as a wider Dominican people, and come up with a solution or solutions. I'm not just a talker, I am more or less a doer. And so
mm,
even with this tragic situation today, allegedly that occurred with Mr. Irish, I reached out to some people and of like minds, and we are already starting to have a conversation as to just what and how it can be done to sort of, stem the tide where people's problem, they can talk to somebody, because a lot of us in Dominica, we have things that we are going through. And apart from family, friends, loved ones, the professional help is what is needed sometimes to help get us back on track. And so if any one of you out there, you're listening and you'd want to be part of that conversation, that initial conversation in terms of getting us up to speed as to a solution or solutions, my number is public. Please feel free to reach out. And as like-minded people, we can have some kind of talk, some kind of discussion to sort of see if we can mend fences and sort of, get some kind of solution in that department, because for sure it is a problem. And the more we keep hiding it or pushing it under the carpet as if, well, it doesn't occur or it is not happening, then it will just get exponentially worse, I must say.
That's right.
Yeah.
But a lot of people need, just think of counseling courses,
Mhm.
because there's an art in counseling people, an art in getting them to speak about themselves. So
Okay.
this is something that has to be first on your list: counseling, education.
Okay. So I'm assuming I can tap into your wise counselor in terms of moving
Yes.
forward with some group putting
Yeah.
together.
yes, of course, of course. Aileen it has some background in nursing, and nursing and caring and
Yeah.
empathy
Go
and
hand in
sympathy.
hand.
Oh God, yes, yeah.
Yes. Yes. All right, guys, thank you very much. It is 27 minutes past the of 6 o'clock already. We already spent half an hour, just sort of, encouraging people out there who may be going through. So yeah, but let us now get into the discussion we're here for tonight in earnestly. We are dead in the heat of the Carnival celebrations in Dominica. And so you guys are icon in that field. We want to hear from you as to these carnival celebrations back then. How, how the celebrations were being kept, how they were held, how, how people participated, and compare and contrast to today, and sort of have a nice conversation so that our listening and viewing public out there could go home with something at 8 o'clock. Brother Rabes, I know that is right down your alley. Back then, in your time growing up, how things were, carnival celebrations.
All right. I'm not sure if I congratulated Aileen on her outfit and the hat,
Mm-hmm.
but it's really lovely. Honestly, it's really
You
nice.
see my hibiscus flower?
Yes, of course. I saw at the end, because the angle, as you were like now, I was seeing the top fringes on that side, which was effective enough. But when it's swivel, then you're seeing it in all its glory
Mm-hmm.
and beauty. But with as you are now, and then you're seeing the little fringes at the end there, that also is fine. Because
Yes.
sometimes
Thank you.
beauty is found in the simplest of things.
Yes, my effort was worthwhile then. I got this from my sister's garden.
True.
Excellent. Yeah,
Her
yeah,
hat.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Garden hats.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, back to your question. Push it by, run it by me again. As you say, like, wheel and come again, brother
Will and
man.
come again. Will and come again, Gregory. In terms
I
of you,
distracted myself.
in
Aileen,
terms
the beauty of the women. Ah, la, la. Anyway, run the question again.
how things were for you guys growing up in terms of the celebrations, carnival that is.
Okay, now how far back you want me to go? As a little
If the
child?
the the, the furthest you can go back, because we really want that kind of
Mhm.
historical perspective and then to bring it to bear as to what we are witnessing today or experiencing today.
All right. Well, for me now, I grew up as a little child in the Atkinson, Kalinago territory area. That has been up until I went to St. Mary's Academy, which is like secondary school, until when I was about 12 years old. So the first 12 years of my childhood um, were spent in Atkinson, Kalinago territory area. So that has been my experience of the carnival then. And I can tell you that, well, the bands used to come from further up the territory and come make their way down to Atkinson. Atkinson was like the end point, and you, of course, you had my mother had a rum shop, like everybody had a shop, but you had the rum in it, and then lower down by a grand auntie of mine, she had another. She was called Massimo. So these were the two main shops in Atkinson where the Massimo shop, which was the furthest point down, a little lower down, that is where the bands from the territory that would be their end point. And then they would make their way back to the Kalinago territory. So that is sort of, that was the sort of experience. But when we were growing up now, as little children, I mean, we used to hear the bands coming down, well, from up the road coming down. And the first thing you hear the drums and the lavway and from far, because the wind carrying that depending on where it blowing, how it blowing. And then it getting closer and closer. And then, but as little children, guys, when you see they bend around the corner, boy, you find yourself under your mother bed, under my mother bed. I mean, all the time you hear the distance. But what used to happen? The darkies were the head of the pack, if you want my so the darkies were like with their foot were way up ahead in front. The band was maybe a couple hundred years to the rear. But the darkies now, they were the fellas up front. It's almost like clearing the way kind of thing with their foot, bah! And that kind of thing. And then you see the rest of the band. And in the Kalinago territory, they had and they still use it now, very typical, iconic, is the Tet Mass, what we call the Tet Mass. It's like it's
A boat.
like a shape like a boat kind of.
Mhm.
And then you use a lot of crepe paper, um, to give it the thing. And sometimes, well, a little more modern time newspaper. And then, but the thing to put it all together though was they used to use flour, farming force. But funny thing about that too, now them cockroach they like the farming force. So when you so that didn't much laugh. Your heart lasted for a few days for carnival. And that's it, because cockroach would do the rest in terms of thing and get it going, or the heat of the carnival thing, But that was the iconic sort of outfit for the Kalinago territory. And then apart from the headpiece, they would have like use a bath towel and wrap it around the facial area, around the neck, and then sometimes around the body too. And they would use long sleeve clothing and pants. Very much like what they do in other parts, like in Collywood and so on. But in that sense, the headgear, the headpiece was the most distinctive thing, part of that costume for the Kalinago um, people in that sense. And of course, you had the darkies, and then you had the people the people who were the lead singers who used to sing, and
As
then
well.
the people who used to back up the chorus,
Yes.
that kind of thing. And they used to stop, as I said, at all the rum shops. Basically these were the stopping points, and they would stop and then make their wrongs around the band and do that kind of thing, you see. And then obviously the Chante Mass, which is the carnival song, was a very strong point of that important point. And they would make songs on events and people too, and expose scandals. So it was a way of, boy, if you don't want a Chante Mass on you guys, you have to discipline yourself and don't get involved in no kind of macaque and kosher, you know, that kind of thing. Otherwise, you will get your payback on Carnival
On
Day.
on
And,
Carnival Day, and these guys
yeah.
had some kind of immunity.
And then before that, now we had what they call practice mass. So in the evenings, the nights before the Carnival weekend and days, the bands would go up and down at nights and practice the songs. And in many cases, they would not really call the names, but they would sing it in a coded way.
Mhm.
And then the real, whether it's the person that they make the song on or the name character, whatever it is, that will be revealed on the Carnival Monday and Carnival Tuesday.
Yeah, true.
So that was that aspect of it. There was another tradition in the territory which is very important. It's called the beggars.
All right. Just
Hey,
before you
that's
go to
yeah,
just before you go to the beggars, brother Rabbits, let me just let Aileen
Haley.
chime in there in terms of her experience as well as a young lady growing up, and then you'll come in with the beggars
Yeah.
aspect.
Mm.
Well, as you both know, I lived in the middle of town, Queen Mary Street, now Independence Street, and Cox Street. So I was privy to every single thing that happened during the carnival season. But what I remember as a child first was excitement. Excitement because we were just finished with Christmas. We had gone to school, and then another set of holidays coming. So no school, and that was fine for me. So that was excitement. Then, as Gregory said, we would hear the bands practicing, and we didn't have so many cars and people blowing loud horns, so we could hear the people from Lagon and the different areas practicing their songs. Then, of course, we had the competitions, the calypso competitions. And then when I was a little older now, we prepared school bands. So that had this period of excitement. And of course, the weather as well, the weather was still a little bit nippy from the Christmas air. So we associated that with carnival. So once the air was nippy, carnival is coming, ready for it. It was also frightening for me because of the fights that used to occur. Carnival was used as a period of reckoning, correcting any wrongs that were done. So there was a frightening aspect. I remember men being shoved on the gates, banged on the gates of the garage, and sometimes we would see dark people going up to casualty when casualty was where government headquarters is, with blood running down their faces. It was also a tiring period because it was open house. Everybody came in, they ate, they drank. So there was a lot of cooking, kalalu, braf, pilau, and it was just in and out, a flow of children and adults in and out. Actually, there's a family from the Carib territory, yeah, who used to come home every carnival, and the children would come and they would sit and watch the carnival. And then, of course, finally, end of carnival, Tuesday evening, deflated, completely deflated, because we have to go to school on Thursday and we have to go for ashes in the morning. So, these were the emotions that went through. We can discuss a little bit more, but I think that is food for thought. For me, excitement, fright, being tired, and deflated when everything was over.
Okay, and at what age you really started or you were allowed to participate thereof?
In my teens. Well, no, before the teens, but not actually carnival on the road. We had a children's carnival party at the St. Gerard Hall. And this was organized by Sister Alicia and the women of the Social League of Catholic Women. And this is where we made our little fancy costumes. Some of us were in jeeps, some in duets, others in flowers, Actually, in my day, there were catalogs that you could get. And the catalogs would show you different costumes and how to make them. And I remember once I was dressed as a pond lily. I think I have a picture somewhere. I hope it's still there. My sister was dressed as a steamer, a boat. So we had ideas, and this is what we did. And so we had our little carnival at the St. Gerard's Hall, organized by the Social League of Catholic Women. Then when I was in my teens, we had school bands. And it was exciting preparing. Of course, the parents made the costumes, but it was exciting getting the bits and pieces done and ready for Carnival Monday. And then in my late teens, we would have little groups of us. And also, in addition, we had school bands, and we used to make the costumes. I remember working with Alwyn Bully and Anita, Amma Harris, Parry Bellot, all these these people. And we would actually either go to the convent or the grammar school and make the costumes. One of the bands I remember in particular is Splendor of Siam. That thing has never left my head, because I remember we went to the grammar school making headpieces with chicken wire and covering them with foil. I'll never forget that. So wow. These are the, and then of course, I left Dominica for England in '69. So I missed Carnival for quite a long time. But I'll tell you something. I went to Nigeria in 1977. It's a long time ago. There was a Festac, Festival of Arts in Africa. And I went to the museum where I saw Sensei. Oh, that gave me goose pimples. There were so many Sensei costumes with sisal, the sisal reed, and other kind of natural material. Cloth as well, not cloth, like crocus bag as well. And I was so disappointed that there was no carnival in Nigeria. I expected to see carnival in Nigeria. There was none, because they don't have carnival like we do. They're dressing up with sensei and masks for their feasts, special feasts for the deities. So it didn't coincide with our carnival. And I remember being so disappointed
Wow.
because I thought I was going to see the real thing.
Yeah, yeah. So these basically were your fun days, especially where carnival is concerned.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So far, so good in terms of some of your memories. Brother Rabes, you were on the point of the beggars
Yes.
in the territory back in your days.
Um,
Thank you, Elaine. Thank you.
the Aileen might help us in terms of the if that tradition was in the Roseau area, but in the territory, growing up, particularly on Carnival Monday, that's when the beggars would come out. They'll dress up, basically like in rags or dress up, in old clothes, but covered up from head to toe kind of thing. And they would have their little sampoir, or they have a little, their things that they can put whatever you give them, whether it's cash, kind, rum, anything.
Mhm.
And then they would go around like beggars. What would be typical beggars, people in rags, back in the days? That is the concept of old beggars. So that was an important tradition, especially on Carnival Monday in the Kalinago territory growing up as a little boy. Um, Sometimes people would do it on the carnival weekend too, like the Saturday and the Sunday, and they'd go further up the road depending on where they have to go to and do that. But really, Carnival Monday, Lady Gua, and that's another thing, the names of the days, man, because you have Samedi Gua, which is the Saturday, Dimanche Gua, which is a big thing in places like Brazil and New Orleans. Dimanche Gras, which is what we can refer to as Carnival Sunday. And then we have Lundi Gras, which is Carnival Monday, and Mardi Gras, again in New Orleans, the famous Mardi Gras, that is the Tuesday. And then the Ash Wednesday, is Mercredi Sun or Mercredi Le Sun, which is the sun is the Creole or the French for ashes. So these names are very important in the carnival sort of calendar, and also these are names that, because back in the days we didn't even used to refer the whole thing as carnival, that came later. It's mask. That's a Nukaku mask,
Masquerade.
no, for carnival. Nukaku mask. It was masquerade, because that was the whole idea. The whole it was about the mask. And then um, if we want to fast forward a bit now, I mean, that's the experience of the Kalinago into the beggars and so on. But if we have to go forward now, the Sensei tradition, that is an African tradition, as Eileen said, that in Nigeria, in Ghana, and some of these places around that West Africa, the equatorial belt. That is where we will have the Sensei tradition. And the as you said, as Aileen noted, that they referred the sensei costumes had a lot of it to do with the religions, beliefs, things that were happening at the time, and representing different deities and figures. Sometimes they would represent the ancestors, people who are passed on. So they had different representations of the sense, and that is why they use buffalo horns, cow horns, because that was what they could use at the time, or they had it available to them. So these horns, so then these horns became that. So when the Africans now came to the Caribbean in chains, they brought with them those memories of the carnival, the sensei. You understand? So now the slavery tradition obviously was prohibited or inhibited during the slavery period. And obviously it was dismissed as, paganism and devil worship and all kind of thing. So it was suppressed during that time. But when emancipation occurred in 1830, around 1838, 34, and 1838, that period there. Then the the people of African descent, they had all this knowledge, but they couldn't express it. So it was then on emancipation that the full sensei tradition in Dominica was not allowed, but it was came into full fruition. And then from that emancipation period, the sensei tradition just exploded, man, in Dominica. And then you have particular types of sensei in different parts of Dominica based on the fundamental material that they were using. Like in Grand Bay, they would have the crocus bag sensei. You find in on the West Coast, in St. Joseph, they would use the um, remind me the typical one that they use in St. Joe there.
Pie fig,
um, Pie fig and other pie fig, very colorful. Um,
scraps
uh,
of material.
yeah. And then, in Roseau area, then you had the whole gamut of material, the pie fig, the sac mayol, like you I say, the Roseau represented. And then you had other kinds of figures around that. And that is where now the bat figures, the Suswell Sui came through in Portsmouth, and I'm not sure about Roseau. I think I saw there's a
Oh
picture.
yes, we had in Roseau.
Yes, there's a picture now. I'm referring now to the what they call the big head Bobo. There's some photographs in the cultural divisions magazines, the books, but it's a big. They see. There's a guy from Portsmouth, Serge. I think it's not Serge. It was him again, but he used to run that big head Bobo. But in the pictures in the archive, you will see those grotesque. That is the word to use, man. Grotesque, larger than life figures, especially top part. So that was another important outfit or costume in it. So you had the sensei in all its glory and the thing. You had the 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 Suswell Sui, that the bat-like costume, and then you had the grotesque, the head piece, and then even within that, now you had you had variations because Collie now had a sort of variation with the same shape of the peak kind of hat and the mask and all of that. And then in that is the sensei down there, or band movie, sorry, band movie is you call it. And then on in La Plaine now, the same band movie, but they are dressed all in black. You understand? Covered from head to toe with the fret. The fret was very strong in La Plaine. And then in Good Hope area now, you had that again the darkies. I mentioned that the Kalinago territory, they had darkies. But in they have the band, the darky band in Good Hope. So the darky is a very important part, and that the darky you'd find him in Roseau as well and in Granby and so on. So these are some of the, you might say, the iconic traditions of costumery in the carnival. And then you had Aileen, who can speak to that too. The the women who used to dress up, they used to put the big,
Yes.
call the big bottom ladies.
Oh
Yeah.
yes, yes. Mm-hmm.
Right. So that is another tradition that was very critical back in the days. So I will let Eileen jump in on that, because on the Rose Urban area, they have been doing quite a bit of work on that aspect and certain other aspects as well. But I think I gave a little synopsis of my experience in the Kalinago territory area in the bit of the beggars and the costumery and
True,
what I
true.
experienced when I came to secondary school in my teenage years and seeing what was happening in Roseau. Yeah. Aileen, are you there?
Of course I am.
Yeah, well, I was
Yeah.
calling on to come in on some of those traditions that I was referring to and how they
Yes.
manage it.
I don't remember beggars being such a thing, but I know that people whom you knew around the streets would always come and ask for something. Or when we had the masks, they would have a funnel in the mouth part of the mask, and we would pour the rum in it. But let me start from Juve, because that is the area that I like very much. It was a lovely awakening this Juve morning. We still had that little coolness in the air. And then you would just hear the drums coming down. Taka 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 tak tan, taka 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 tak tan, just waking you up beautifully from sleep. You put on a little sweater or something and you go to the veranda or you go to the jealousies that we used to have when I was growing up, and you peep outside and you see them going. And I mean, we couldn't go, but it was such a pleasure to watch and to listen to these lovely drums coming from Pottersville and coming up the road, or coming from Newtown, coming up the road to meet in Roseau. That was just so lovely, so beautiful. And then on Sunday, well, that was Monday morning, but the Sunday before we had the floats. And the floats were so beautiful. They spoke of different aspects of social living. I remember there was a float from CDC. It was, they spoke about the French Revolution, where they cut off their heads in the French Revolution, but we cut off their lights. CDC, where they don't pay, we cut off their lights. There was a float my sister was on, talking about Lord Byron. Apparently, he loved women, so they had his harem on the float. And I think our education at that time, with the classics that we did, gave us and made us creative in the way we organized floats and so. A lot of the floats now I see are just merely advertisements. But having done the literature and the classics, that you developed some creativity around the poems, around the stories, and we had floats as far as that is concerned. Something else I remember is the Carnival Queen. When the Carnival Queen, on the Monday morning, she would come from quarters from where the deep water harbor is, come on the launch, come up the sea, the coast, and land on the jetty at the bayfront in all her evening wear. And she was given, well, the mayor was there too. He got the carnival, the person of carnival committee would receive the key from the mayor, and the carnival queen came up on the jetty and was paraded into town. That was lovely. Monday, we had the carnival bands, and we looked forward to that. They've changed them around a bit, and I'm not quite sure why. But I don't know whether it is the fact that bands are allowed to continue on the road till 11 o'clock, till 10 o'clock. I don't understand why. I don't know what is the problem with sticking to time. Because when we say the bands must be in at 10 o'clock, the police are out at 10 o'clock and no band can move. You stop and you move, you go home. So Juve from 4 o'clock in the morning till 8 o'clock, that's fine. Then people go home, they dress and they get ready for the bands that start at about 10 o'clock. So we looked forward to that. That is when we had all the carnival contestants and the bands coming after them. That to me was wonderful. It's been changed now. I don't know that it's any better, but I suppose that is we have to give way to the young people, I suppose.
I know.
But having hi-fi out on the road, I find very it's upsetting. It's painful. It's actually painful to listen to a hi-fi on the road at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, we'll get to the hi-fi. We'll get to the hi-fi aspect of it and the traditional bands.
Okay, let's put it on the side. Something of the old carnival.
Someone is
we
saying
used to
here,
have a lot of individuals who dressed up. Mm-hmm. There was this man, I don't remember his name, but every year he came out as a donkey. So he did his donkey with how you call this thing, when papier mâché. So he would form his donkey and his legs would carry him. He would walk. but you had the donkey. He was in the middle of the donkey. You would
Okay.
have the front, the head, and the back. And a lot of people dressed up individually. I like that. And one thing Gregory missed out were the Indians. We had this band with the Indians, and they
That's correct.
all played their little pipes, just like in Montserrat. They still do it in Montserrat. But we've lost that. We've lost that. And the darkies I found when I saw them this year, they didn't take sufficient time to darken themselves. They were seeing too much color. They need to take their time, and in Grenada it's a big thing. The darkies, they call them jab jab.
Jab, jab,
But
yeah,
when I
jab,
was
jab.
small, every inch of the body was covered with soot and oil. There was too much color. And something else, they used to put two balls in their mouths. So the cheeks, they really look grotesque, as Gregory said. The cheeks would come out like this. I think it's two table tennis balls or something. Or whether they use, what they
Castles.
used to use, grass or something. And the
Yes.
cheeks would be bulging. Then we had something called the red ochres. The red ochres, whether they came from the territory I don't know, but they used
Ruku,
what
Ruku,
ruku,
Ruku.
and they were red all over. Then we had the susel sui with the mirrors all on them, and then the Indians as well. The Indians they were very pretty. And then they used, I don't know whether they did that in the village, but they had this man who would go around the street with a big block, a stone block, and he would bend with his abdomen up, his feet, his knees bent, and his hands at the back. The stone would be placed on his stomach, and another one of his friends would come with a big matto and break it on his stomach. Did you ever see that in the country?
Papa.
That was a big thing in Roseau.
That one there would be
A
interesting for
big
sure.
block
So they would burst the block on his stomach.
on his stomach. Yes.
Wow.
His hands at the back, his knees bent, and exposing his stomach, and he would put it. Whether they weakened the stone or the type of stone, I don't know. But they would come with this big hammer and bam.
So that would be I'm just asking, Eileen, that would be a one-time event, or it would be happening continuously throughout the...
He did it at a few places, and of course he got some money.
Okay.
People gave him some money, but this is one of the we used to have a lot of street performances, and this is one of them that has totally gone.
Yeah. Arundel Thomas is writing here. He says the parade of the bands at the Windsor Park on Carnival Sunday.
That's right.
The day before Carnival Monday, on that day, the floats and various groups displayed their costumes. That was a usually fascinating yearly carnival event. He continues by saying here, on that day, there were bands portraying historical, commercial, comedic, and cultural things. Thunderbirds, he said, once portrayed the 10 Commandments.
Right.
On another, the Vikings, it was massive. He says, Mr. Jude from Newton was the man on whose stomach the big block was burst.
Ah, great.
He did it several times.
Yes.
So Arundel is adding to the conversation here.
Yes, I'm so glad.
Mr. Jude from Newton.
Now, talking about the big bottom ladies, this is something I've seen it in Barbados also. And this is something that the origin is from Ghana. And those listening who take part in the Big Bottom Ladies, look up the ethnic group Bobobo, and they will see the ladies, and most of them are natural. Most of the bottoms in Africa, they're natural. But what they use are handkerchiefs also in the hand, and it's very pretty, beautiful. And they do some choreography as well with it. So for those who didn't know, that is our tradition from Ghana and from the Bobobo group, ethnic group. And they will see the origin. That's one of the things that our collective memories came together and maintained.
Yeah, and to the thoughts from Rares, thank you, Eileen, for such fine and fun memories indeed. We're gonna take a break in just a while. Rares, any further thoughts?
Yeah, Eileen, I mean, brought in the experience of the Roseau urban area, which was not my forte, into the growing up as a child and all that on my teenage years and so. But yes, and then so these were the iconic sort of, you might say, representations during the carnival. Um, um, Growing up and when I went to school in Roseau and in my teenage years, and then beyond that. So these were the sort of iconic, you might say, representations, costumes, outfit in our carnival experience in Dominica.
But you know, they also wore the duet for Carnival.
Yes, indeed.
They wore the duet, and this is, but they were completely covered, something like the Tululus of Guyana,
Mm.
Cayenne, completely covered with gloves, mask, and you couldn't call them. Even if you recognized who the people were, you just could not call them. But most people wore masks at that time. Then there were two gentlemen, Boy and Farrell, and they lived by Matis's home there. Anyway, almost by the Scotiabank in this that area. And they would dress up in their duets. Now men are afraid to do that now. I had the boys of Roseau Cultural Group do that 1 year, but you can't get men to do that anymore, and I don't know why. But these two men, Boy and Farrell, would dress up with their heels, their makeup, and I mean, when you talk well dressed in their duet, the ladies had nothing on them.
Wow.
And then people like Irene Peltier, Mrs. Cordero, I remember Irene Peltier would have been doing that before Mrs. Cordero. And Mrs. Cordero had her Wesley High School children, almost the whole school, on the road at Carnival. Oh, that was a sight to behold. And I remember she tied their heads all the same way. And that was just so effective on the road. Very, very, very pretty. I remember people talking, boy, Cordero stayed up the whole night with tying head ties. And they look beautiful. But that was without masks at that time. That was Carnival. But I know that when I was a child, so I must have been about 9, 10, 8, 9, 10, around that time when we were in the small house, the house of jealousies. The women would dress in duets, but completely covered. And if you're going to say, Auntie so-and-so, shh,
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I'll tell you, shh. And we had these masks from China with big rosy cheeks made out of mesh wire. Then we had then they put a towel over their heads so you couldn't see their neck, and then their headpiece. It was masquerade, and so it's mask.
It was the mask, the real mask.
The real mask, yes,
yeah.
yes.
All right, folks, can you believe it? An hour has gone. We're going to take a break now, and then we'll be right back with you guys in terms of your contributing or commenting on your carnival celebrations in Dominica. And then, and now, well, you give us some part of the then. So we're going to sort of, streamline the conversation now to the now and see what, you guys can make of the conversation as to what is happening now. We're going to take an all-important break. We're going to play this Lapo Kabwit track from Newton, I believe that band is from. Let's take some from the Newton Lapo Kabwit. We'll be right back in just a bit. All right, folks. So if you're tuning into the conversation at this time, yes, we're talking to none other than two cultural icons in Dominica. That is Mr. Gregory Rabas and also Miss Ellen Burton. Indeed, very, very interesting conversation thus far. So all of you locked into the live feed at this time, thank you very much. You can please place a comment, a question, a suggestion, whatever in the live feed. I will sure get it across to our guests here. Also to the numbers that is on your screen at this time. Please feel free to chime in into the conversation here. But so far, so good in terms of Aileen and Brother Robert's contribution re our Carnival celebrations then and now. All right, it is 8 minutes past the hour of 7 o'clock, and let's get back to our guest here. Brother Rabes, someone is asking me a question here to ask you. What about the darkies that you spoke of? They want you to expound on that aspect of the carnival celebrations a little more, the darkies.
Yeah, the darkies, very important part of our tradition, as we said. Um, and they used, and Erlin spoke to that too. Um, Soot, the soot, SWT, charcoal, and the other things, the red ochre, thing that could create that. Well, the red ochre is for the ruku to create that reddish color, and the soot or the charcoal will give it the black. And they would even use things like the blue too. The blue, the Erlin can come in there, but the blue,
Washing blue.
yeah, and use that too to get the blue tint as well. So it's a question, and then the oil was very important. So the the tradition of darkies and the fwet, very important. Fwet was critical to that. So they would basically and obviously without much clothing, just a pants, pair of pants, and everything else was just, as we say in Grenada, they have taken it to another level in terms of the jab jab. But when they say jab jab, it's really jab diab.
Yeah.
When they say jab, but because Grenada they spoke Creole like us here in Dominican Trinidad as well, but they lost it along the way. But the jab jab is really diab diab. So essentially, these darkies um, were very much a part of our carnival. And as I said, the darkies always had their fwet.
So what
Yeah.
would be the substance
And
that they got that black thing from?
the what?
How did
Oil and
they get about that black substance? Oil and what?
No, it's just oil and just any oily material.
So
charcoal.
it would be all oil?
It could be
Yes.
that.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
Wow.
All oil, soot, and charcoal.
All oil, soot, and charcoal.
Yes.
So
But
as
they
you
covered every single part of their bodies.
What is
Right.
So
soot?
their
What is soot,
their
Aileen?
eyes looked like they were bulging.
Yeah, what
And
is
then
soot,
the
Aileen? What is
soot
soot?
is almost like ash, but the dark thing
Okay, okay.
from coal.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. The ash.
Yes. And so when they covered their entire faces, what you saw were just their eyeballs, the white eyeballs. That was very effective. And then they had, I don't know whether it's grass they put in the thing. I don't know where they would get table tennis balls. So they must have used something to roll into a ball and put on both sides, inside of their mouth, on either side of the cheek. So they really looked very scary.
Wow.
And they were completely covered. No color, no color.
No,
Like those I saw this year, too much color was shown. No color at all. And the same thing with the red ochres. Use the ruku with oil and pass it all over the body.
And
And it
children
just
would
have
normally be scared of them, eh?
But that is any self-respecting jab, jab, dab, dab, red ochre, and particularly the senseis. I find the senseis are too small. No self-respecting sensei could go past our street without some child getting frightened. No, man. The thing about sensei, when you heard them coming down Independence Street,
They were coming in for pressure.
Yeah, and the
put them in
grunt.
jealousies and we peeping through the jealousies because they had sabots. They had the handle of a spade. The sabots made them tall, gave them height.
Yes.
Then the movement of the hands when they're coming down. And they're not just chipping down the road like I see them doing there now. No.
Yeah.
They had a stature.
It's like they come in for action. Yes.
You put on a certain personality when you're wearing the sensei. You don't just go down the road, chipping down the road. No. Some of them had a pocham on the head. Some also had the horns. And, it was Bamwele, Mokapasi, Bamwele. You couldn't go near them. You couldn't go near them. No, man. I wish we would get back that, the attitude, the character back into that sensei. Another thing again, that fret, nobody can use a fret in Dominica now. They've lost the art.
Yeah.
They need some real, oh my God, you must hear the training go do. Children, eh?
I had an experience.
The is long enough and they have lost the art. The art has not been transmitted.
Yeah. As a child, I visited my father's parents in Petit Soufriere. And I had a real traumatizing experience, I must say, with the darkies, you call them, Brother Ravis. Let me tell you about it. That was a life-changing experience that I will never forget. Never, ever. A matter of fact, I ran under my grandmother's bed.
That was masquerade for you.
And one of these guys in their darkness, because as a young boy growing up, I never saw these things before. First time experience. And when I saw these people in black coming down the road and beating their whips and making a lot of noise, and so I was standing sort of by the door, by the house, and then I guess a few of them saw I was scared. So one sort of, came in my direction and sort of lunged at me. Man, I sped under my grandmother's bed. And the man really wanted to come inside the house itself. And that made me even more scared. And my grandmother had to, like in them old wooden houses, they normally left push their cutlass in the, like in the corner, the angle, just by the door. And the lady had to pull her cutlass right there and tell him, like you just see the child scared of you and whatever. And I was really, really scared. So that was an experience that I'll never forget. I can tell you that. For sure. So yeah, that was my own experience, just visiting in the Petit Soufriere area, Gurup area, as Brother Ramis mentioned. Yeah. But guys, let us now sort of compare and contrast today's celebrations. What are you guys seeing? Are you guys, liking what you're seeing? I know there will be reservations. Elin, I know you're sort of old school in that department, so there will be some situations where you will not be, in agreement with. But what are you guys comments today as to the celebrations that we're having?
Well, if I may.
Yes, Ravis.
We have to put it in context too, eh?
Yes, sure.
We spoke about the traditional mass, so that's why I like to put it like, okay, you have the traditional mass, which is all what we talked about. And then we have, you might say, the contemporary or the more modern type. And then that is when now we move from the, what do you call it? The, like the shanty mass thing and the lapu capuit and all of that. And that is where the steel pans now coming in with the influence of Trinidad. And so the steel pans now entered our carnival space. And part of that, so the steel pans came into the carnival thing. And some of the traditions that Aileen were talking about, they got more evolved and more sophisticated instead of the carnival queen pageants and all of that. So we sort of developed, you might call, the the sort of more modern or contemporary mass.
Yeah.
And we had, and then you have taken it further into what you call t-shirt bands and all of that. I remember when I was going to academy at sixth form at that point, we had our own little band and we put together our stuff. But that was what we the so you find out the t-shirts. Right now I think it's Carnival Monday. In Thursday afternoon, you have a lot of t-shirt bands. Um, I'm not really a fan of t-shirt bands, honestly. I think with the same t-shirts, we can be more creative with the t-shirts. Matter of fact, we can, like cut the t-shirts, and we can, and that's where the sensei comes back into that, where you use the tradition of sensei and Suswell Sui and bring it into contemporary fashion in that sense and merge it into the. So, I mean, I saw in London, I mean, I just saw a woman walking down the street with a pants outfit, and it was a modern thing, but it had a sensei, the things on it, but that's a modern outfit. So, what I'm saying is that for the younger generation who is more modern kind of thing, um, we can now bring them into the carnival without they even realizing it, into using the traditional outfits and being creative. And that is where our seamstresses and so it's a whole industry, I mean, carnival in Trinidad and Brazil, that is a multi-billion-dollar industry. So everything comes in together: the seamstresses, the musicians, the costume, the builders, the steel workers, everything adds up. So right now, what I see, one of the things I see need to be done is to while we modernize, we have this modernize. There are ways that we can incorporate some of
All right.
these say and things into the modern,
Yeah.
so-called modern bands.
Yeah.
And
We have a caller on the line, Mr. Roberts. Let's try to take that caller. Yes,
Mm.
caller, good evening to you. Civic Vibes, you're
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, my name is Aaron Del Thomas and from Lakusatlang, Charlottesville, the center of Carnival. My brother, Carnival has not evolved, it has deteriorated into something, I don't know what it is. Show your boom boom and show your titty and stuff like that. Because all the things you mentioned, Carnival was a classic event, I mean, people took pride in their Carnival. The band movie guys, they dressed in their sensei, whether it was fig pie and sisal, whatever, the bag, crocus bag stuff, very well made. Everything was well organized and disciplined. And then, as I mentioned earlier, there were well organized floats and bands. They thought about what they were going to do. If they were going to portray something historical, they thought about it. They planned, and you must have heard about Thunderbirds. They were unique and iconic. And in the whole portrayal of Carnival, it wasn't just satin and red. They did things. They acted out. There were performances at the park. If they were portraying the Vikings, they performed some aspect of the Vikings culture. If they're doing the 10 Commandments, they had the 10 Commandments in the red, and there was a performance of the floats at the Windsor Park. There were big things, organized things. And then there were individuals. I know there's a lot to talk about that, like Mr. Rupert Lloyd. He made this creative things. When we met Inez, he played a saw and sang songs, played songs on a saw, a regular saw. Then he had puppets, dancing, and there were persons performing during Carnival, on Carnival Day, like Mr. Jude, the guy from Newtown who had these things burst on his stomach, on belly. And then there were persons rising from the dead in a coffin. I mean, Carnival has deteriorated. It has not evolved. It has become something, I'm not even sure what it was, and all these hi-fi bands, it's true, the steel band came. There were massive steel bands, well-organized, disciplined bands, steel bands, and at the same time, there were Lapo Cabrit bands and stuff like that. So I think I've said enough for now because I don't know steal show from these great people here. But then Carnival was a fascinating, organized, disciplined, professional event. Right now, I don't know what they have there. It's not really Carnival. It's some kind of a something, not mass. It is some Carnival, but then they have different, people have a different concept, and I don't know. I don't blame anybody for that. Life itself has gone down the other way. But it was really good Carnival, and there was the practices, there were the practices. They had massive bands, band with, that would come with every night before Carnival, all now so. Every night they go up, Luke Beer from Newtown. It was fun. I don't know what it is. Thank you, my brother.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great program. I'm enjoying it.
True. And you being in Newtown yourself, you had your fair share.
Charlottesville, correct that.
Charlottesville, you had your fair share.
Oh, yeah.
All right, my brother Arundel Thomas, indeed. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen.
I'm smiling because I recall too, while he's talking about the discipline part there, I was smiling because there was the other side of that too. Because you find back in the days, fellas used Carnival to settle scores. You understand what I mean by settling scores?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And boy, and in Trinidad too, got some big gourmets. So my fellas used to lift up steel pan and burst that on fellas' head, you know. That's a well cover pity. So that was a kind of another aspect of Carnival in that sense. So you had this so-called, I mean, now people are very much right now because the violence thing, it on another level. It have more firepower, quote unquote. I'm using the word carefully. So in that, but back in the days, boy, you had an element of really, and that was adding to the sort of fear by the younger children of that. But right now, we have it in such a way that the young children can, really get form part of them. And that is why that one major thing we have to do is to work with the schools. We have to work with the schools and the youth groups in Dominica. These are the people we have to get involved in organizing of bands and young bands and bands involving young people. We have to meet them where they are and where they are organized and get them to, as part of their annual calendar of events. They have their picnics and what, but your carnival, it has to be part of your plan and form your carnival bands. So that for the youth groups, the people in the schools, where to go?
Yes, indeed. Thank you. Let us before Ellen, anything you want to chime in? We have some comments that I would like to get into.
Get your comments.
All right, we have people like Alista Irish watching. Alista, good evening to you, my brother. Again, we express sympathies to your families earlier and to you as well. Thank you very much for your eyes and ears. Faith Sunshine, Nazarene Prince, my auntie in the Bath Estate area, Bessie Newton, good evening to you. You're there with us. Ramona St. Rose, Bernard Allen, Tina Bell, Rosemary Flora. Ellen Rosemary saying here they put limes in their mouth. I guess that is what.
Very good. Thank you so much.
that
yes,
is what
limes. I knew it was something wrong with limes.
And worse than that, why ripe breadfruit? And make all kind of magic. What? Anyway.
No, the limes in the mouth.
Limes. So I guess you had that pushing out effect.
Yes. I know they had something wrong in either side, the cheek.
Yes. Marshall is saying here, or is asking a question. The long run was tradition from the top of the group straight down the middle in the to the front of the truck with the musician started somewhere? Was it Portsmouth? I guess you'll have to kind of fine tune that up for us, Brother Marshall. I don't understand the gist of that question here. Now, Tina Bell says every child was scared of the Sensei, Darkies, and the Red Oaks back in the 1950s. One more comment here before I get back to Elaine. It says here from Bernard Aline, as a child, my favorite was jumping in a band with my parents and others, pushing the frame with wheels, which had the steel bands playing, making the entire run, pushing and chipping. All right, that is what Mr. Bernard Allen remember here based on his experience with his parents jumping and chipping in the band. Yes, Elaine, you can chime in now. Thank you.
Yes, well, Carnival has evolved, that is for sure. But I think we can reach a happy medium with the traditional carnival bands that we used to have a long time ago. We need to encourage the children to sing. I think we rather than give, we are just taking, in the sense that bands are, okay, the carnival bands that we have now, I doubt the costumes are made in Dominica for a lot of them. I don't know if I'm correct, but I don't think those costumes are made in Dominica. Before, our costumes were made in Dominica by parents, children themselves. And as I said, I don't know whether it's because we did more of the classics that we had the ability to create. Now I don't see much creation. When you would think, what is Thunderbirds putting out this year? Well, I don't know if there's Thunderbirds still, but when we look at the bands at this time, you just wondering what color combination they're going to use, and what part of the body, what other parts of the body are going to remain uncovered. This is all you have to look forward to. Color and feathers, 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 gling, 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 and exposed bodies. I really don't see much in that, because we are not creating the costumes in Dominica, whereas before we created costumes in Dominica. Gregory made a point about using the t-shirts. I'm a little bit opposed to his idea. I love the t-shirt bands. Why? Because parents can buy t-shirts for their children and the children can join the bands. And that is the aspect that I like. They may not be able to afford to make costumes for the entire family, but I'm sure they're able to buy the t-shirts. And that is the aspect that I like. Now, cutting up the t-shirts to look like Sensei, I would prefer not to, because we have to admit it, we're not a rich country. So we can use the t-shirts for something else on another day, rather than cut it up and not being able to use, because people tell you, but it's not Carnival, why are you wearing that? So this is my only objection to not doing away with the t-shirt bands and being able to use the t-shirts and allowing the parents and the children to accompany them. That is what I like about the t-shirt bands. And the t-shirt bands are well organized, they're cordoned off with rope, and the children are safe and they can enjoy with their parents. I love the t-shirt bands for that reason.
Yeah.
I wish we would be a little bit more creative with our costumes. And creative not with color and showing parts of the body, but something that is within our sphere, something that is going on in the world. Just for an example, Wilma Dishose. I don't know, Wilma, if you're listening. She had a band and she had a pack of cards. Now, who is thinking of that these days? She had how many cards there? There are 56 in a pack of cards.
I believe it's 52.
Something like that. Anyway, she had an entire pack of cards. And she choreographed their steps and they shuffled the cards by going sideways. She shuffled the cards.
Oh, okay. So it was quite
So
innovative.
she imitated something. She brought to life a game that we played.
Okay.
And this is the creativity that I would like to see happen in Dominica. There's no creativity, there's more color. There's color, yes, but no creativity. We cannot use a concept and bring it out, and that is what I think we are lacking. As far as the old mass is concerned, I like the fact that it is separate from the modern carnival. It is good. It just needs to be promoted some more. I think the Division of Culture probably can put out a booklet showing how the sensei is made, what materials can be used. The same thing for the darkies, how you cover up yourself entirely, and afterwards you go to the sea to wash it out. But you cover yourselves entirely. Show them what the tradition was in booklet form. The same thing with the red ochres. Do that, and let us see that how we can encourage the children, participation of the children from schools to be darkies and red ochres, children with sensei, and even sensei workshops. Why not? Another thing is we need to learn to sing. We are not singing. Before, okay, we probably sing a chorus, but before, when you sing Tennis Tongue, I think that's the last calypso show I saw before I went to England. I'll never forget that. Tennis Tongue. Everybody was singing Tennis Tongue. They knew the words. And it was a nice melody that got you active on your feet. Your feet just followed the melody of the song. You sang and you danced and you enjoyed yourself. When the bands are passing, the hi-fis, there's more noise than melody. They're always stopping for a long time on the road, and you just hear three notes. Tang, 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 tang. I don't know. It's just a different.
Well, I guess it's three
really,
notes. It's
from what
only
we
three.
knew to what we see now, it is very different.
Yeah,
and I don't think it's an improvement.
Yeah.
Because they're allowing the band to do everything for them. They're not contributing.
I was just adding it's only three notes that our generation can
yes,
can
and it's
deal
a
with.
pity.
Yeah.
It's a pity. And 1, 2, 3, move to the right, 1, 2, 3, move to the left. Goodness me.
I know.
And then of
Kelvin,
course
Kelvin Francis is asking you guys to comment on the Papi Show wedding aspect of the celebration back then.
Well, Papi Show wedding is still alive. When we were growing up, there was always a Papi Show wedding. I don't know that there were many of them, but there was always 1, 2, 3 Papi Show weddings. At one point, they brought it on stage. I remember Rosa Cultural Group, we did a Papi Show wedding on stage at the Windsor Park. But the place for that was Piper Steps. So we did, Chupul did one last year, and it was beautiful. It was really wonderful. But the how would I say that? The situation in which you're doing a Papi Show wedding is not conducive for the audience, because a few people will come around you and the rest of the people don't see. The rest of the participants don't see the crowd. But if it was on Piper Steps and we have mics, then we can do a good performance and everybody will see. But what happened? We were on the road, they told us, oh, the judges are there. So we did our business, but it's surrounded by people, so you couldn't, the rest of the crowd couldn't see. And the hats were so pretty. It was like I don't know if you saw us, but we had hats with like trays with eats for wedding. So you had a wine glass, a champagne glass, sandwiches, cake. And we had a beautiful cake that Mrs. Badwill from Garaways did. And all members of Chupul helped, assisted. They created what they wanted and they made it. They thought of the idea and they made it. So it was a group initiative, teamwork. And that is what we want to see more of. Creativity. Use what we have, use the things that nature offers us. What about the banana leaves, the pie leaves, not only for sense, you can use it otherwise. You know, if we can use, I remember this little girl, she had done a costume, I don't remember her name now, but if somebody remembers her name, please let me know. A cute little friend of mine. And she had a costume made of cocoa sticks. That was the first time I think they had the princess show or something like that. I'm not sure. But she had a costume made of cocoa sticks. It was wonderful. It was wonderful.
Yeah,
And this is
I
where we
remember
need to
seeing a
use
costume
our
made of.
creativity.
Yeah,
Pardon?
I remember seeing a costume made of as well styrofoam cups and
Right.
also bottle tops.
Bottle tops, yes. But I
Mm.
don't know if you remember one year, I think Alwyn had just returned from Jamaica. There were senses using every possible type of material.
Okay.
There was crocker's bag. There was plastic bags. There were huckster bags. There was Benja shoe was still in operation at that time. So all the pieces of the push-ins they cut off, they made the sensor with them. There was cocks too. There were so many different types of sensei costumes. That is creativity. That is imagination. That I don't mind seeing, as long as we keep the tradition of the pipe figs, the um, pieces of cloth, and crocker's bag. Fine. We could have different sections. If you're in pipe fig, stay in pipe fig. If you know, different sections. And if that creativity comes out, I think it will be wonderful. Get the children to think, and they'll surprise you, with what they come up with. They'll surprise you.
Yeah, Brother Rabes, what about the music as it relates to the celebrations
Yeah,
then and now?
before we
Yeah,
get to music, I
yeah.
wanted to say a little thing about the sensei,
Uh-huh.
which is really my pet hobby horse when it comes to the carnival thing, because I mean, as I said, I write songs about the sensei. I have been documenting it and all kind of thing with that. But one of the things we can do with the sensei as well, and that's where the seamstresses and others can get involved, as I hinted earlier, is to make what you call ready-made. I'm using the word pretty loosely, but how we use it in Dominica, ready-made sensei strips. So in other words, the same way you buy them little tin cells thing and whatever, you can get the people to make ready-made sensei strips. So I could put a sensei together in 10 minutes by just getting my ready-made strips, and just in 10 minutes I have a sensei outfit. So that is something in terms of the spirit of innovation, and industry, and at the same time getting a broader base of young people involved in the sensei tradition. That is another innovation I think we can look at, where we can have basically ready-made sensei strip that you can just go in a store and buy. Yeah. And then back to your point now, I digress a little bit. You're talking about music, right?
Music, yes, the type of music then and now.
Okay, well, obviously, the thing is here, before we had Lapo Carpet music and so on and all of that, then when the steel bands came, well, the steel band would drum out the Lapo Carpet in a kind of a way. But then when the hi-fi came, the hi-fi drum out steel pan and Lapo Carpet. So that is why you should not have
That's
hi-fi.
right.
You should not. They should not have big hi-fi, or what they call them, that shouldn't be in Juve, brother. Juve should be just for the traditional mass, the lapo cabinet and the steel pan. Well, the steel pan is an acoustic instrument too, eh? So That,
But it's not
that
amplified.
that's your shuve. And the bigger stuff, the heavy high power thing, that is for your floats and your bands and whatever going down into darkness. I mean, they're already there. Why have it in Juve? I don't understand the logic. Honestly, to have all that in the Juve. Because you need to end the Juve by 8 o'clock in the morning. So that the people that in the bands can get, because that's why the bands are coming out late. Because they can't see you up to 10 o'clock in the morning and they're supposed to be in a band to come out again. So you have a problem. So that is the thing we have to look at, consider,
Mm.
okay, in terms of the Juve and the music aspect into the Juve. And as I said, the music has evolved, and right now is the bouillon is the sort of street dancing music of the carnival. I mean, it's not only in Dominica. I mean, it's really making raves all over the Caribbean now. I mean, that's a good thing. It's a good thing, and music evolves all the time. I mean, even in days of Cardinal Sleep, so when Cardinal Sleep so emerged, Cardinal Sleep so evolved. It got different. All the bands in Cardinal's bands in Dominica had their own unique sound. There's you could know that was Gramax. You could know that's Exile One. You know that's Mantra. Because they had their stamp, their own unique thing. So we have to continue that tradition into the wider thing of our music in Dominica. So the current so-called musical stamp or brand coming out of Dominica is the bouillon
Mhm.
with its nasty business offshoot. But the bouillon, it is even making inroads into Trinidad now. So that's good. That's good. There is a difference between the music itself and the content or the lyrics. Okay? So
Yeah.
that's why sometimes you don't throw the baby with the bath water. You throw the bath water, you throw it away and then you keep your baby. But so in that sense, I'm using that analogy as well
Yeah.
on music that the people love the rhythm, people love the rhythm, the bouillon rhythm, and they love the thing. What we have to do now is to fill it up with um content. And you have some of the bands like the Signal Band, those guys, Triple K and so on. They have some interesting content, lyrical content in it as well. So in a sense, that is the direction it is going. In terms of that, and it is really it has a new lease on life from the WCK days into the now, and it's making it even broader appeal and it's quote unquote taking over the other Caribbean carnivals. Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm just
You
tracing the evolution of the music in our carnivals.
yeah, that's good. You sort of going out of frame now, your device. If you can just kind of come back in the frame a bit.
That's Rabes.
Yes, you. Yeah.
Oh, I suppose I was
Yeah.
so animated there.
Right. Yeah. That's better.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
I know, Elaine, that is a very tender point where you're concerned in terms of the lyrics of the music that is being played today. Your thoughts?
Well, there's some lyrics I don't think they are worth even repeating, and they certainly should not be made public. There are too many words in the dictionary for people to be singing this stupid.
Yeah.
And to what end? To what end? To me, it's not uplifting. It does not give any valuable contribution to the society. They're talking about personal, private things that really should remain in the bedroom. What is it doing out on the road? They're not uplifting, and I don't think we should subject our children to this sort of thing. What are our objectives? Whatever we do, we need to have positive objectives. At least when I am doing anything, I have positive objectives. I've written my two little books. is so that the children can carry on our Jeep and duet into the 22nd century. That is my objective. What is the objective of putting out songs like that? Just to interest a few people? What's the point? There's so many other serious issues in society which can be addressed through bouillon, through whatever modern music they have. They can be addressed. What is happening in America now? Sparrow used to sing about what did Sparrow sing? Sparrow sang songs, but you had to be intelligent enough sometimes to interpret what he said. The message was always there, but as a child, you don't believe it. The lizard ran up the teacher's legs, Miss Mildred's legs, and disappeared. The child is going to be very funny, but he's never going to think of what Sparrow meant. So this is what Dominican youth need to do. Talk about things that have an impact on Dominica and what can we do about it. There is a song I heard from a young girl. She's for Junior Monarch. It's a very encouraging song. Yes, we can do, or something like that. Very encouraging song. Will they play it on the road? They will not play it on the road. All the bands play what they want to push. And if she wins, or even if she doesn't win, they're not going to play that song on the road. But it is a very positive song. It encourages the youth to do better, telling them that they can do better. But will they play it on the road? No, they play some stupid song with no sense. And that, I think, is a great pity, because I don't think we are so, and stupid is not the word, no, ignorant of addressing topics that need to be addressed. I've never heard a song on the crapo that has disappeared. What has happened to the crapo? No song about the crapo. Yet crapo used to be the only, Dominica used to be the only island, and I think Montserrat, to have the edible crapo. So long the crapo has disappeared. No song on it. There's so many other things that are happening. What is the influence of America on us now? What is going to happen in the long run? How are we going to suffer? And what can we do to prepare ourselves for the hardships that may come with whoever is in power in America? Are there any songs on that? What is happening in Dominica with people just building big houses all over the place? What is going to happen to that in the long run? If Dominica comes into hard times, we're just going to have a pack of white elephants all over the place. Anybody writing about that? There's so many topics, just looking at Dominica, so many topics, but it's their private business that they want to put on the public road for children.
Well,
try and have time to grow up and learn.
Miss Britton, I want to, I
so
empathize with you. Yes, I'm saying, I see with you, I empathize with this situation and the points that you're bringing across so eloquently every time you're here on the program. But I must be true to the youth out there in terms of where their head is at. And I can tell you, I am privy to some of the young people, the school age people conversations that I've been privy to, and where you are and where they are, there's a big white gap. And I can tell you that straight up. Most of these young people, when they leave school or even in school dressing, whatever it is the marijuana they're involved with, the drugs they're involved with. They're talking about whose boyfriend is that one, whose girlfriend is that one, which one taking man and that one. And that is the kind of conversation. And so it is sad to see where our young people's heads at, but I must be true to the situation out there on the ground. In this day and age, sex is the thing that is selling. And even with our young people out there, that is the market. That is where sex sells. And you know, to try now to reinculcate those sort of morals and etiquettes and whatever you guys grew up on, I can tell you it is going to be a Herculean task to get it back. It's the best way, but that way, I'm telling you, it is very, very difficult because every year with these celebrations, things get much more skimpier, if there's that word. And the young men, they want to outdo the other young men. Young ladies want to outdo the other young ladies in terms of having nothing on them. And that is the reality. So I understand your pain. I understand where you're going. I see with you, and I really and truly think that is the way we should go. But where we are now, the reality of where we are now, I think it is a situation where it is irreversible. I cannot say it any better.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a gloomy situation, the way you put it together and paint it. So that is why, you know, the struggle continues, the battle
True,
continues.
true, true.
You um, you just have to be creative, generally about your costumery and your outfits and all of that. And that is why, for example, I always am very strong on the not only just the sensei, but use the traditional and sort of give it a modern twist so
Yeah,
that the
yeah.
young people can, you know, it can
Waters
even
it
become,
down.
yeah, give it, and it is like, as I said, it can become ordinary fashion too, you know.
Yeah.
As I said, just ordinary, normal fashion outfit, that trousers. I told you, I saw a lady with one in London, and it was basically a sensei pants, but it was
But that
really
was in
nice.
the hippie days too, you know. The hippies had that.
Yeah,
The
in
hippies
fact,
had that in England in the 70s.
I
But I
see
think Mr.
that.
Dura was more talking of the lyrics and the conversation of the young people. I think he was
Yeah.
more referring to that. The
Mhm.
Yeah,
lyrics of the songs. He feels that there's not much we can do, but we can always try.
Yeah, we can try.
yeah,
I don't
And
think
there are
anything is hopeless, and the
yeah.
world goes wrong in a circle anyway.
And
yeah,
having said that, though, people, just before we end, there are some young people that I know they're really trying their best, and I want to repeat, young people, they're really trying their best to live up. And so it is these young people that we really have to encourage and keep the encouragement coming along their way, so that just maybe I said some other young people will pattern on them and sort of, you know, get their bearings going in that department. But by and large, where these young people heads at, I can tell you it is not a good place. And so people like
Yeah.
Eileen, Rabes, and the others, you guys have your work cut out for you in terms of trying to sort of bring back those nostalgic moments, nostalgic ways, nostalgic doings, and everything as it relates to our culture in Dominica. But I want to thank you guys for coming on. It's 5 minutes to 8 o'clock. And so we have now to sort of, you know, sort of bring the conversation home in terms of our closing or parting comments.
you all watch that to take out the stone in the road or what?
Take out the stone in the road, my brother. Take it
Yeah,
out. Take
go
it
with
out.
that, yeah.
See we wash
No,
la.
yeah, I think as I said, in Dominica, we have to work out what makes our carnival really unique and different from the other carnivals. So going the Brazilian way, as we've been talking about, it's not it doesn't make our carnival unique. It's, you have this sort of global bikini kind of thing that you see it in London, you see it in
Exactly.
Paris, you see it in Dominica, you see it. It's even pointless going to an Antigua carnival. It's the same thing you see. So, what is it that is going to make Dominica's carnival stand out for young people and for the not so young people? Is a sort of a marriage between the traditional carnival in terms of the costumery and the modernizing of that into contemporary costumery, fashion, things of that nature. So that thing, I am very sure of that point. I try not to throw the baby out with the bath water. So we have to find that. In terms of the musical and lyrical content, that we can address, as I said, we can address that at different levels in the schools. Because it's part of what you call literature and poetic stuff, we do that in school. So that we can transpose that. I think some of the guys, they do workshops in the schools, the same Bouillon
They do.
s- they do workshop trilogy and somebody else. I think they do that kind of stuff. So you find that the people, the young people that write the material, I'm not talking about nasty business, I'm talking about bouillon music material. These are the people that you have to reach out to so that they can then reach out to the younger people like them. So there is not all doom and gloom, as you said, and Aileen pointed, and you pointed out too, that there are things happening that we just have to nurture and build upon. And then we can really truly say Dominica's Carnival is the real mass. So but with the other things that are happening, we're running the danger of it is no longer being the real mass, and it's just another mass. So that is where the carnival leadership and the organizers, the committees, they need to um think and listen to programs like these and get some of the ideas together, and let us try to do something about in practice about our carnivals.
Yes, indeed. Mr. Rabes, thank you very much, my brother, for your
Pleasure.
fine, very fine thoughts that you laid down here with us tonight. Much, much appreciated indeed.
Aileen?
Um, I agree with Gregory on the fact that we need to find out what makes our carnival different and concentrate on that. That's another area where the t-shirts might come in handy, the t-shirts band, in that visitors can just buy a t-shirt rather than an expensive costume. So I think that could be one way where we can encourage all visitors to join a t-shirt band. The other thing I agree with you on is this Juve. I mean, I love Juve. And after Juve, I can go inside. I don't have to watch the other bands. But for Juve, having the hi-fi, it strains our voices. You cannot hear. And what's the point of it? The hi-fi will come out later in the day. Give the people a chance to go home and have breakfast and feed themselves. And allow us to do the old Juve by singing. The bands don't have to be big. We don't have to have large crowds, because that is what the hi-fi band encourages, large crowds, and everybody thinks Carnival is a success with because the large crowds following the thing, because they don't have to do anything. The hi-fi is playing, somebody on the truck is singing, and they're just chipping along. We have to sing on the road. The Juve bands have to sing, and we cannot sing with the hi-fi. It just drowns us out. We all lose our voices. So what do they want? That is what something that they have to find out. What do you want? You want Juve from 4 to 8 or to 9, and let the why should they have hi-fis, as you say, at 8 o'clock? Let the people go home, have breakfast. Then I would like to end on a more positive note, in that the opening of Carnival, I watched on television. I was very happy with some of the floats. Some of them showed some creativity. They were very pretty. And I would like to congratulate the organizers. The stilt workers, I can't name all of them, but stilt workers were extraordinary. And yes, the darkies need to work on their darkness, and the red ochres we need to reintroduce. People have to work on this fouet, because they've lost the art of hitting that fouet. And the senses, get into character. Please get into character. Avis, Avis. from St. Joseph. And I just want to say hi to Eloise. And thanks for the compliment.
All right. Thank you very much, Madam Eileen. You looked stunning tonight, I must say, with that shepherd pie. Just give us, the shepherd pie. Well, what is in there and how long did it take you to make it before you leave, please?
Oh, this is my sister's shepherd pie.
Mm-hmm.
And she already had the madras. All I did was to steal some flowers, some bush from her garden, and put it on just for Civic Vibes.
Wow.
To look the part.
and you have the vibe, so true. Thank you very much.
Nice.
You should have told Brother Rabes to stick some hibiscus in his heart as well.
I know.
Hibiscus and palm. So you see, even using the natural stuff helps.
Yes.
But Gregory, this is something I remember as well. When the villagers came down to Roseau, they each held a pack of bush in their hands. And I saw that also in Africa. They use a lot of bush, but for their deities. But that is collective memory coming into play. And they would always come to town with a packet of bush flowers or whatever, bush in their hands. Always. I remember that. People from the villages.
They use a lot.
It's part of my culture.
Flowers, yes, for sure. Especially the Vava.
Yeah.
All right. So, Mr. Rabes, Miss Eileen, thank you very much for your time tonight. We really, really and truly appreciated it. And whatever is left of your night, please do enjoy. Thank you very much. See you guys pretty soon.
You too. Have a good night.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Folks, we spoke about the bouillon. Yes, some bouillon as we leave.
Bouillon!
All right, Dominicans, far and wide, thank you very much. That is where I must bring down the curtains on things here tonight for yet another very, very interesting Civic Vibes program. 5 minutes past the hour of 8 o'clock in Dominica and our regional space. Thank you very much to WCK for doing this one entitled The Bouillon.
When the music hit you, man,
that is our kind of music indeed.
Give me a little melody and if you're everybody calling it the accordion or give me the bouillon.
Mr. Ra, Derek Peters and others. Keeping the tradition alive as well in music. Good evening, sirs. So all of you locked in for tonight's program, thank you very much.
One hand and round again.
So our guests here tonight did a formidable job. Miss Eileen Burton and Mr. Gregory Rabes, two cultural icons in Dominica. We just made use of the experience and expertise tonight. A very fine conversation indeed on our culture / carnival celebrations. See you guys next Sunday, same time, same place from 6 p.m. on the Civic Vibes platform. So until then, bye-bye. I love you very much indeed. A productive week ahead.
The bouillon mix up with what we call quadrille. And you know it have a little bit chickpea. All local ingredients are just science. A bit together, put it on the defense. Now bouillon the difference. Bouillon music control the greatest dance. What's them got us balance in the shop? See the next one comes the back in skirt. And the man that's watching the white hat. Whoa, yeah. Change position. All right. Hold she on the back. road.